Hello, good evening. I was away much longer than I meant to. I wanted to share this a lot faster, but I definitely got taken out by that cold. So I also apologize for the quality of the earlier recordings. When I'm feeling fully well, it would be cool. I can see if I can record them better, but for now they're out there, and it's fun to share them. Okay, I'm going to read Saturday, and then I want to go on. So Saturday is the true midpoint in the story. It takes place over 2 weeks. So I only include one weekend day. So there's just the following week to go after this, and then the story completes. So this is kind of our midway point, and it is System's first day off of work in the story. I'm sure she had days off in her life in virtual world before this. Anyway, okay, Saturday. System was standing in an open space, dark and cold. She shivered and pulled the edges of her cardigan closer around herself. She took a few steps, looking around. Edges of furniture became visible as her eyes adjusted to the dark. She was facing rows of cubicles. This was her work. What was she doing here? She approached her desk hesitantly and swore under her breath. Someone had broken the screen. She ran her fingers along the cracks, which reached outward like entropy or a spider web. A droplet of blood appeared at the tip of one of her fingers. She studied it, watched it sit there like a jewel. Through the cracks, she could see that her memo had been opened. Only one word was legible: impertinent. He really knew how to draw blood. She sat down in her chair, hands poised in the air above the keyboard. What could she say in response? Yes, he was being helpful, but there had to be limits. She had to learn for herself, just as he had done. Forgetting about her wounded finger, System began to type. That is not fair, and I do not accept your criticism. She pushed back the chair and stared at the screen. The cracks were slowly healing themselves, starting from the edges and working their way in. She swore again, when an intrusive beeping sound drew her attention away from the last moments of screen repair. Let me try that again. My apologies. She swore again when an intrusive beeping sound drew her attention away from the last moments of screen repair, and she found herself face to face with her ceiling light. A dream. It had all been a dream. I need a vacation yesterday, she muttered to herself as she rolled over and slammed her hand down on the snooze button, silencing the beep. She reached for her phone in its usual place, but it wasn't there. Her heart began to race. Her hands began blindly searching the sheets. Then she remembered. It was on her couch in the living room. Her attempt at crafting good sleep hygiene came with unexpected consequences, just like most change. Slowly she got to her feet, trudged into the living room, and scooped up her phone. Part of her wanted to talk to Charles now, to get the conversation over and done with. Maybe then she could stop dreaming about what he might think about what she hadn't yet said. She didn't just need a vacation, she needed a massage and maybe a puppy. I am not wasting the day, or the sunlight. Work can wait, this is my time. With a bit more energy and mobility now that she was more awake, System made her bed and changed into a pair of sweatpants and a sweatshirt. We are going on a run for our stupid mental health, she mumbled, tugging her running shoes out from under her bed and shoving her feet into them. Birds sang their approval as she pushed her house keys into the pocket of her sweatshirt. Today she was not going to think about work at all. With that thought, she set off on a run. The air was crisp and clear, cold enough that she could see her breath. She jogged for a few blocks, listening to music. Death metal flooded from ear to brain, and she imagined yelling every word at every client who had made her endure their condescension and thinly veiled animosity. The sky was full of clients, masquerading as clouds, surrounded in bright light, fluffy and drifting along softly, slowly, but she could see the dark gray of the storm they were holding back. She ran faster. The clouds could keep their pain points to themselves. She was off the clock. A few blocks in, she noticed a patch of grass with some mushrooms on it in a ring, but a few of the mushrooms were covered in a snowy blanket of mold. She slowed as she passed this, remembering the cobweb cracks on the monitor in her dream. I am not Impertinent, she advised the mushrooms, then laughed to herself as other words came to mind, closer aligned with the behavior of someone who talked to mushrooms. For these words, she had no counter-argument. A gust of cold wind made her shiver. She sped up again, ready to be inside. It started to rain lightly as she came into view of her home. She ducked inside just as the rainfall got heavy, cheeks red and a wet strand of hair falling into her face. A beeping sound caught her attention, loudest in the kitchen. "Co, turn off the alarm," she called off, heart hammering against her ribs. "There are no alarms set," the device replied. "Co," System said, frowning and walking further into the kitchen, "turn off the timer." 10-minute timer turned off. The silence that followed was heavy, but it was immediately interrupted by the hiss of the coffee pot and the smell of hazelnut. She stared at the machine. Had she set this up? Pink came to her cheeks. Of course she'd set it. Charles didn't have access to her home, obviously. Her hand reached for a mug, grasping it by the handle. Warmth. That's what she needed. With movements that were correct but felt off in a way she couldn't name, she went through the motions of preparing her coffee. When she brought the cup up to her face with both hands, she breathed in. She breathed in it? I think I have those words oopsied. She breathed it in. She breathed in it. Oh my gosh. Okay. She breathed into it. Her exhale was long and loud. A light in the kitchen blinked. She blinked at it. The rain was beating against the window, its force as heavy as her exhale. There was still so much to do. The sunlight through the window didn't look real, too white, too bright. She dragged coffee and laptop into bed. She gathered the blankets around herself like a cloak. She would just doom scroll for a little bit, just a few minutes. Then she would call her mum and start her cleaning. The sky was dark when she glanced up from her screen again. The day gone. There was something sour about how her free time passed so quickly, but work often dragged on. She still had one more day to rest, to do whatever it was she desired. She wanted to feel uplifted by this, but the bitter twist in her gut persisted. As System got up from her bed and began to run her bath, she committed to enjoying the rest of her weekend. She squeezed a bit of sweet orange bubble bath over the faucet and watched as the tub filled with bubbles. Some tension in her back dissolved as she watched the water flow. She'd make the rest of the weekend count. All right, so yes, I will focus on, day 8. No, day 7, sorry. I'll focus on Monday in the story for the second week, starting next recording, hopefully tomorrow. And we are at the midpoint, so I'm excited to share more. And I do have companion stories planned for it. So even though it is a short story, I have a lot of different directions to go in. And I'm excited to answer any questions about the world and just to chat about it because it's been really fun.